Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Saturn conjunct one's natal Jupiter. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Saturn, they can involve restrictions, limitations, structure, discipline, responsibility, and laborious work and efforts. When transit Saturn conjoins one's natal Jupiter, well, this could manifest in restrictions, limitations, having structure, discipline. It could be more responsibility and working very hard. Um, it could be in matters of exuberance. It might be a little harder for us at this time to be a little bit more enthusiastic and exuberant about things. Our outlook, our beliefs on a lot of things might be a little bit more negative and pessimistic. Uh, Jupiter is also connected, not mean exuberance and enthusiasm. Both of those things are going to be might be hard to manage at this time. But it could also, what I say, quote, discipline that. And what I mean is, we might not get overly, jovial about things that may not be realistic as well. So we can have some positive elements to it. Also, too, this could be about structure and discipline and expanding horizons, more consistency in what you're trying to do as far as expanding horizons. Say if you have this in Aquarius, it could be something with astrology or astronomy or things connected just with general selflessness or humanitarianism. Um, if it's in this could be something too, but you might feel limited at this time and be more cognizant of what you might be doing as far as limitations in broadening your horizons. Also, too, this might maybe put a little damper on as far as being jovial or jocular at this time. You might that energy might be a little harder to come by at this time, more so than usual. But at the same time, keep in mind Saturn is also connected, with the government and politics. So maybe, since Jupiter is connected with humor and joviality, it might be a time where you might be more jocular and willing to make more jokes regarding things connected with something Saturn related, like the government and politics, such as just general political satire. And also, too, Jupiter is associated with the law, so this could be a time where there might be more seriousness involved with matters with the law at this time. If you had been involved with something unlawful, remember Saturn is connected with authority figures, and that can include people in law enforcement. So this is the time where something like that may catch up with you, but at the same time, Saturn can be about working within the parameters of the system, and Jupiter is the law. So if you were somebody that was, doing things, if it was a little bit shady and things that weren't, 100% legal, it could be the time where it could be a time for some to straighten up and start working within the parameters of the law. Now, another thing too is that Jupiter is associated with veracity and the truth. So it might be a time where you look at Jupiter being that truthful planet, and Saturn can be connected with the government and politics. You might be willing more to speak your mind regarding those issues at this time, and or it could be matters with authority figures such as a supervisor at work if you're in a subservient or subordinate role. And it could be a time too where you're more, as far as your philosophy at this time, might be a little bit more, orthodox and more, might be something that you see as more commonplace or realistic at this time, more so than usual. It could also be a time. I mean, Saturn is also about discipline as well. So if you do have to say, again, going back to zodiac sign Aquarius, if it is like an unorthodox philosophy, it can be where you're more consistent as far as using this as well, and maybe even preaching it, what have you. And Jupiter is associated with religion as well. And when you look at this transit, it can be something where maybe there's some, Saturn is about limitations and restrictions. You might feel there might be some limitation or restriction associated with your religion. It could also be more discipline in connection with it, or being just simply more responsible. You might have more could be a position more of responsibility. Um, as far as your religion goes, or at a religious congregation, if you're in one of those, I mean, when I was young, when I was a kid, I'd gone, I was born and raised Catholic, and they have somebody come around and accept certain donations. Could be some situation like that where you're more in a position of some kind of responsibility at your religious congregation like that, if you are involved in one. And also, anatomically speaking, Jupiter is connected with the hip, liver, pancreas, sciatic nerve, and even cancer. So it can be a time where there might be more difficulties or despondency in those matters, and where these situations might be more depressing. But it's also a time, if you've been procrastinating and haven't done anything about those issues. Let's say, especially if your natal Jupiter falls in your first or your sixth house in your chart, because first house, of course, is connected with the physical body. Sixth house can be associated with physical debilitations. It can be a time where you're willing to take more responsibility for those matters. And also, too, Jupiter could be connected with extravagance. So, on a positive note, this could be something where it could limit that to some degree. Say you have this, like say in the zodiac sign Leo, it might be, you might be somewhat extravagant on things connected with entertainment, like movies or going to circus, going to sporting events, spending money on on PC games, something that's connected with what you feel is entertainment, buying CDs or entertainment system. It can be a time where that spending might be curtailed. And also remember, I mean, Jupiter is about optimism as well. This could manifest in cautious optimism, where maybe Saturn, of course, can limit and restrict, but it may not stop. As far as you're feeling optimistic, but it makes that optimism more realistic, where you're not going overboard, and you're what you feel, it could be what you're hopeful for, might be more in the realm of possibility at this time. And also, Jupiter can be connected with traveling abroad, so there might be certain restrictions at this time as far as that goes, whether it might be monetary or some other provision that may need to be followed. So anyway, well, another way this could manifest, this could be, in some cases, it could be about, a Saturn person, a father, an older person. It could be a grandparent, might be more prominent and play more of an integral role in your beliefs and in philosophy at this time, even religious matters. Say if this falls in Aquarius, it could be something, with astrology or an unorthodox belief, or even belief in like UFOs or Scientology, and maybe something of that nature, and whether they're trying to limit it or they're actually in agreement with it, or or encouraging you or influencing your belief on this, could go either way. Another thing too is that Saturn is associated with chronic debilitations and illnesses, so this might actually be expanded if you have any chronic illnesses at this time. Say if this is if this falls in Virgo, it might be something with the pancreas or spleen or some abdominal or intestinal issue. Also, too, Saturn is about fear, and it could be connected with fear and worry. It is a strong harbinger of both. It could be some kind of fear or reluctance in terms of expanding or broadening your horizons at this time. Let's say, for example, you have this in Aries in your 12th house in your natal chart. Well, it may manifest in some kind of fear, perhaps of really maybe aggressively or courageously putting yourself even on camera, because Aries is connected with courageous, assertive, and aggressive energy. And the 12th house can be associated with filmography. And the thing is, too, it could even be a fear of maybe confronting, maybe I should say, a fear of confronting open adversaries at this time, or even This could be, I think I need to go back. I need to be kind of rewind on that, people. What I'm saying is, let's say again, if this falls in Aries in your 12th house in your natal chart, it could be a fear of broadening horizons is Jupiter, and then doing so perhaps in a courageous and aggressive Aries manner, and as far as putting yourself on camera, which again the 12th house could be. Um, 12th house could be associated with filmography, could even be have something to do with aggressively confronting open adversaries and lacking the exuberance maybe to do so, because the 12th house is also connected with hidden enemies. Hold on a moment, people. Another thing too, is that this could also be, in some cases, this could be about a career that may be something Jupiter related that might, transpire at this time. If you're, especially if you're looking for a career change, it might be something with sports or publishing or religion. It could be, teaching in college. It could be something connected with traveling, whether it be a pilot or working at a travel agency or like a cruise director or something, if that exists. Say if this is in Virgo in the 8th house as an example, it could be perhaps some publishing and analytical astrology or psychology. Um, but at the same time, Jupiter, the fact that it's seeing Jupiter, remember that Jupiter, as I've stated in previous videos, can be very benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. In some cases, this might exacerbate some despondency or maybe issues that are Saturn related, such as the teeth, the bones, the joints, the skin, hamstring, and the knees. And there might also be, even Saturn could be about difficulties and debilities. So it might even manifest in some difficulty with something Jupiter related, like the liver, the pancreas, the sciatic nerve, the hip, maybe the thighs, or even something cancerous in some isolated and extreme cases. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.